The threat, the danger here, the stakes in this election were enormous. Nothing less than the sealing of the changes of the last 8 years against the gospel, against the ways of God. It threatened to seal the future of America on the issues of abortion, gender, marriage, the indoctrination of our children, religious liberty, religious persecution, and even possibly Israel. And overall, on America's departure from God. See, the ball had already been rolling down the mountain. And even if the Democratic candidate for president was not as radical as the former president, the momentum would have accelerated because the ball was already rolling. It would have been at a further stage. Further, Obama had put much of these things, had done it not through Congress, but he circumvented and did it through executive orders. And the thing about executive orders is, if another president is elected with a different stand, those executive orders will be reversed. In other words, if you live by executive orders, you may die by them. You need to be succeeded by a president who will go along with them. Then they will likely end up being a permanent part of American government and culture. So if the Democratic candidate had won, and by the way, this is not about people, though it mentions people, we need to pray for everybody here. But we also have to call it as it is. If the Democratic candidate had won, then all of those changes would in effect be sealed. On top of that, the Democratic Convention of 2017 was the most brazen in history. Sensing blood among conservatives and sensing power, the convention no longer spoke of abortion in veiled terms. They proclaimed it from the rooftops. The platform vowed to strike down the Hyde Amendment, which had been in effect from the 1970s, that would mean that not only would the unborn continue to be killed unhindered, but through now our tax dollars, we would all be paying for it directly. On top of that was the issue of the Supreme Court. With the death of Justice Scalia, the court was already tilted against biblical values. But it is expected that in the next 8 years, several judges will be retiring. If the replacements were picked by the Democratic candidate, it would be over. On every case from life, morality, biblical values, children, religious freedom, persecution, it would have been over. And then there was the proclamation of the Democratic candidate running for president who said, and this has never been said by any mainstream candidate in the history of this nation, she said, deep-seated religious beliefs must be changed. Why? So that abortion could expand further.